A red berry. Mary was a bright and curious little girl with a heart full of questions. She loved discovering new things, especially when those discoveries could be eaten. Of all the foods in the world, fruit was one of her favorites. Whenever her family visited the grocery store or the local farmer's market, Mary became excited. Her little eyes wandered from one colorful fruit to another. She loved learning their names, she loved tasting new flavors, and most of all, she loved asking questions. Sometimes her questions were easy. Sometimes they made everyone stop and think. One beautiful sunny afternoon, Mary's mother placed a large bowl of fresh berries right in the middle of the kitchen table. The berries had just been washed. Tiny drops of water still sparkled on their skins. The bowl looked beautiful. Deep blue berries, dark purple berries, bright red berries. The sweet smell filled the whole kitchen. Mary walked into the room and stopped. Her eyes became wide. Wow, these look delicious. Her mother smiled warmly. Help yourself. Mary didn't wait another second. She reached carefully into the colorful bowl. Her tiny fingers picked up a small, round blueberry. It was smooth, shiny, dark blue, almost like a little jewel. Mary smiled. She gently placed it into her mouth. I love blueberries. The berry was sweet, juicy, fresh. The delicious flavor made Mary's smile even bigger. Without waiting, she reached into the bowl again. This time, she picked up a blackberry. It looked completely different. Instead of being perfectly round, it was made of many tiny little circles joined together. Mary looked at it with curious eyes. Then she took a bite. I love blackberries too. Its rich, sweet flavor made her eyes sparkle again. Mary was having a wonderful afternoon, but she had no idea that one more berry was about to lead her to one of the funniest questions she had ever asked.
Mary looked into the bowl once again. There was still one beautiful berry waiting for her. A bright red strawberry. Its tiny green leaves rested gently on the top. Its fresh, sweet smell filled the air. Mary carefully picked it up by its little green leaves. She held it close and smiled. It smells wonderful. She took one happy bite. The strawberry was sweet, fresh, juicy. Its delicious flavor filled her mouth. Mary's smile grew from ear to ear. I love strawberries too. Now, Mary had enjoyed 3 different berries. A blueberry, a blackberry, and a strawberry. She looked proudly at the colorful bowl. Everything seemed perfect. But then something caught her attention. Mary stopped eating. Her smile slowly changed into a thoughtful expression. She looked closely at each berry. Blue, black, red. Her little mind started working. She looked at the blueberries, then at the blackberries, then back to the strawberry. Her mother noticed that familiar look. The look that always meant another question was coming. What are you thinking about? Mary pointed to the blueberries. These are blue. That's right. And they're called blueberries. Exactly. Mary nodded slowly. Everything made sense. Then she pointed to the blackberries. These are black. Yes. And they're called blackberries. That's right. Mary smiled. So far, everything makes sense. Her mother laughed softly. It certainly does. Then Mary picked up another strawberry. She held it right in front of her face. She looked at it carefully. Bright red. Very red. She blinked. Then she asked the question, "But this berry is red." "Yes. If blueberries are blue and blackberries are black, then why isn't this called a red berry?" The kitchen became very quiet. Mary waited patiently. Her mother looked at the strawberry. Then she looked at Mary. A gentle smile appeared on her face. She had heard many interesting questions before, but this one was different. And honestly, she wasn't sure what the answer was.
Mary looked at her mother, waiting patiently. Surely, grown-ups knew everything. At least, that's what Mary believed. Her mother looked down at the strawberry. Then, she looked back at Mary. A thoughtful smile appeared on her face. "You know, I don't know." Mary blinked. Once. Then twice. Her eyes grew wide. "You don't?" "No, I'm afraid I don't." For a second, Mary couldn't believe it. Her mother always seemed to have the answers. But not this time. Mary folded her arms and thought for a moment. Then suddenly, an idea popped into her head. "I'll ask Dad." A few minutes later, the front door opened. Mary's father had arrived home from work. The moment she heard him, she hurried toward the door. Her little footsteps echoed through the hallway. "Dad!" "Hi, sweetheart." He smiled, the way he always did when he saw her. But before he could even put his bag down, Mary had something very important to ask. "I have a question." "Oh? What is it?" "If blueberries are blue and blackberries are black, then why isn't a strawberry called a red berry?" Her father stopped walking. He scratched his head. He looked at the ceiling, then at the fruit bowl, then back at Mary. The question really made him think. Several long seconds passed. Mary waited quietly. She could almost hear her father's brain working. Finally, he smiled. "I'm sorry, Mary. I don't know either." Mary looked from her father to her mother, then back to her father again. Both of them had the same answer. Neither of them knew. Mary couldn't help laughing. "So, neither of you knows?" "I'm afraid not." Mary smiled. This mystery was becoming even more interesting. If Mom didn't know, and Dad didn't know, then who possibly could? Just then, soft little footsteps came from the hallway. Someone else was about to join the conversation. And no one in the room could imagine that the funniest answer of all was only a few seconds away. Soft little footsteps echoed through the hallway. Mary's little brother walked into the kitchen. He was holding his favorite toy car. He looked around and noticed something unusual. Everyone looked deep in thought. He blinked with curiosity. "What's going on?" Mary smiled. She finally had one more person to ask. "I have a question." "What is it?" "If blueberries are blue and blackberries are black, then why isn't a strawberry called a red berry?" The little boy looked at her for only a second. Then a huge smile spread across his face. His eyes sparkled as if the answer was the easiest thing in the whole world. "Oh, that's easy." Mary, her mother, and her father all looked at him. They waited. Could he really know the answer that none of the adults knew? The little boy pointed toward the fruit bowl. Then he laughed. Because a red berry is a cherry. For one tiny moment, the kitchen became completely silent. Then everyone burst into laughter. Mary laughed so hard she almost dropped the strawberry in her hand. Her mother covered her mouth, trying to stop laughing. Her father shook his head with a huge smile. "That's a wonderful answer." Mary looked at her little brother. She giggled. "I don't know if that's the real reason, but it's definitely the funniest one." The little boy grinned proudly. "I think it makes perfect sense." Everyone laughed again. The warm kitchen filled with smiles, filled with laughter, filled with love. Mary picked up another strawberry. She smiled at it. Whether it was called a strawberry or a red berry didn't really matter. It was still one of her favorite fruits. That afternoon, Mary learned something special. Asking questions is one of the best ways to learn. Sometimes adults know the answer. Sometimes they don't. And every once in a while, the funniest and most unforgettable answer comes from the youngest person in the room. From that day on, whenever Mary saw blueberries, blackberries, and strawberries together, she couldn't help smiling, because she always remembered her little brother's clever joke. Because a red berry is a cherry. And every single time, it made her laugh all over again.